The President has proclaimed emergency. This is nothing to panic about.
They say history repeats itself. But if we learn from our past and do not forget where we came from, we can make sure not all is repeated. The 1975 emergency, imposed by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, is one such dark day in post-independence Indian history. On 25th of June 1975, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi declared a state of emergency across India, citing internal and external threats. What followed was imprisonment of opposition leaders across the country and curtailment of civil rights and liberties. Vijaya Raja Scindia, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Arun Jaitley, Lal Krishna Advani, Jayaprakash Narayan, Mulayam Singh Yadav, Morarji Desai, George Fernandes were all arrested. The 21-month period that lasted from 25th of June 1975 to 21st of March 1977 saw elections be cancelled, severe press censorship, imprisonment of political opponents, and even mass post-sterilization campaign spearheaded by none other than Indira Gandhi's son Sanjay Gandhi. A nondescript book titled Torture of Political Prisoners in India, found in Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, chronicles the police atrocities on the political prisoners in India during Indira Gandhi post-emergency. The political prisoners were tortured and subjected to unspeakable atrocities. Jayaprakash Narayan and Morarji Desai, two of the top most opposition leaders, were arrested early in the morning and whisked away to undisclosed location. Nobody in India knew that they were arrested or where they were for days after. Leaders who had participated in the freedom movement have recounted that even the British did not have such a total ban on publicity regarding their arrests the way Indira Gandhi did. Worst has been custodial torture of the political prisoners, and how some police officials derived sadistic pleasure in doing so, especially the state police in Haryana, Kerala, Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh. Seemingly, they were asked to teach a lesson to those who indulged in anti-Indira activities. The prisoners were kept under illegal confinement and were subjected to physical torture. Some of the methods of torture were stamping on the bare body with heeled ammunition boots, severe beating on the soles of the feet, rolling heavy police lathis on bones of the legs while a constable sits on the lathis. Victims were made to crouch and sit in Z position for hours, beating on the spine, slapping both ears till the victim loses consciousness, inserting electric live wires in the crevices of the body, stripping the victims nude and making them lie on the slabs of ice, burning of skin with cigarettes or candle wax, denying food, water and sleep and making them drink their own urine, suspending the victim mid-air while having their hands tied in the back, tying them up in aeroplane manner, wherein the victim's hands are tied behind their backs with the rope. The rope is then taken towards the ceiling with a pulley and the victim is pulled up a few feet above the ground. The victim will then hang mid-air with both their hands tied behind their backs. Recently, Congress-friendly journalist Rajdeep Sardesai claimed that the brutalities of emergency were centered mostly towards North India, that there were not much of brutalities in southern parts of India. He gave this rationale to explain how Indira Gandhi later won Chikmagalur seat from Karnataka.
क्योंकि आप देखिए ज़्यादातर जो इमरजेंसी के जो एक्सेसेस हुए वो उत्तर भारत में हुए. कई लोग देखिए 77 में इंदिरा गांधी और कांग्रेस स्टिल विंस साउथ इंडिया में तो डोमिनेट करते हैं. महाराष्ट्र जैसे राज्य में उस लेवल का स्वीप नहीं होता जो उत्तर भारत में होता है.
However, truth is far from it. Here is an indicative list of atrocities carried out on political prisoners. So in Hyderabad, one Narsinha Reddy was slapped on both his ears so severely that blood started oozing from them and he had to be operated upon. One student leader, Rajwardhan, was beaten so mercilessly he vomited blood and fell unconscious. Even then, he was not given any medical attention. Leaders were stripped of their clothes, denied food and made to sleep in severe cold. On 7th of October 1975, 7 persons were arrested at Godavari Khani in Karimnagar district. They were pasting some posters. Of these, 3 were asked to remove their clothes and their bodies were burned with melted candle wax. Such severe was the torture that when doctors saw them, they were horrified. In Visakhapatnam, political prisoner Raji, whose crime was writing political slogans on walls, was given electric shocks. In East Godavari prison, political prisoners Koka Kurma Rao and Krishna Prasad were severely beaten up and hanged by their hair where they lost consciousness. In Karnataka, through various accounts, one can see that the police's favorite torture technique was the aeroplane one. In the aeroplane, the victim is tied up in aeroplane manner, wherein the victim's hands are tied behind their backs with a rope. The rope is then taken towards the ceiling with a pulley, and the victim is pulled up a few feet above the ground. The victim will then hang mid-air with both their hands tied behind their backs. Many student leaders across Karnataka were arrested, illegally confined and tortured in aeroplane position. In Karnataka only, Narasamma, a woman protester, was arrested on 15th of August 1975. She was pregnant. While she was taken to hospital for delivery, her legs were tied to the cot with a chain. Another student leader, Sisha, was rubbed all over body with poisonous caterpillars. Kannada actress Snehlata Reddy and her husband participated in the anti-emergency movement. She spoke out against Indira Gandhi's tyrannical regime. She was also a friend of George Fernandez, who was arrested in a fake Baroda dynamite case. When the final charge sheet was drawn up in this case, Snehlata's name was not there. However, she was considered guilty by mere association. She was held without trial in Bangalore Central Jail for 8 long months, where she was tortured and subjected to inhuman conditions. She was thrown into solitary confinement where her health deteriorated. Owing to her failing health, Snehlata was released on parole on 15th of January 1977, but she passed away just 5 days after. In the then Congress communist-ruled Kerala, stripping someone naked and beating them mercilessly was a common torture technique. Heads of leaders were kept between their knees and were beaten up. When knees were removed all of a sudden, the victims would fall. Victims were beaten till canes broke. In Ernakulam, leaders chanting Bharat Mata Ki Jai and Vande Mataram were taken away by police and beaten up by 10 to 13 constables. And guess what? Even after all these years, chanting Bharat Mata Ki Jai continues to be a contentious issue in Congress and its allies ruled states. While prisoners were kept at Dibrugarh and Guwahati jails, in Guwahati jail, CPIM leader Rabin Kalita was detained in August 1975 under draconian Misa. He was later hospitalized and operated upon, but he could not make it. He died with handcuffs on. His relatives were not even allowed to meet him or attend to him. In Rajasthan, giving electric shocks to political prisoners was the preferred torture method. In Delhi, one Hemant Kumar Vishnoi, Delhi University Union Secretary, was arrested while on a picnic with fellow students in Delhi's Buddha Gardens. He was hung upside down and beaten up. Burning candles were put on his bare soles and chili powder smeared on his nose and rectum. Despite torture, he refused to confess to a non-existent plot against Indira Gandhi. All this was done even though there was no case registered against them. His whole body was swollen because of the torture. Mahavir Singh, another Delhi University student, was beaten up and tortured so much that his skin started reacting to even shirts he would wear. Shiv Kumar Sharma, a DU student, was forced to inhale chili powder. He was also beaten up with rods, shoes and gun butts. Student leader Ashwani Kumar was made to lie down at a police station and a constable then danced on his chest wearing ammunition boots. In Haryana, the brutality was coupled with humiliation. The political prisoners were made to strip and had water splashed on them in the middle of the roads in winters. They were also not allowed to sleep. This continued with prisoners in Maharashtra too. In Pune, 23-year-old Ratnakar Ande was tortured brutally. After multiple arrests and re-arrests, he was beaten and forced into an empty motor tire and rolled into topsy-turvy position. He was caned on soles of feet, palms and thighs. After taking out from inside the tire tube, his hands were tied and a rod was tied to his neck and he was hand-on that. He was beaten and hair and skin of chest pulled. These are just some indicative incidents of torture. The actual figure and level of brutality during Indira Gandhi imposed emergency is far higher. This is why the day should be remembered. 25th of June 1975 should be remembered. The day when democracy was truly murdered in India. When the preamble of Constitution as drafted by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was changed by Indira Gandhi unilaterally and words socialist and secular were added. And why did this take place? In state of Uttar Pradesh versus Najarnayan case, which was filed by Raj Narayan, who was defeated by Indira Gandhi in 1971 general elections in Rai Bareilly. The Allahabad High Court found Indira Gandhi guilty of misusing government machinery for her election campaign. The verdict came out on 12th of June 1975. Her election was declared null and void and was unseated from the Lok Sabha. She was also banned from contesting elections for next 6 years. Allegations such as bribing voters were also put up against her. The Allahabad High Court decision was challenged by Indira Gandhi in the Supreme Court. However, on 24th of June 1975, the Apex Court also upheld the judgment and all privileges Indira Gandhi received as an MP were stopped. Jayaprakash Narayan and Morarji Desai called for anti-Indira protest every day, and a huge rally was called in Delhi the next day. It was considered inciting rebellion in the country, and Indira Gandhi, who was still acting Prime Minister of the country, made a formal complaint to the then President of India, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, to proclaim a state of emergency. Within hours, electricity to major media houses was stopped and opposition leadership was arrested. And this is not the death of the constitution, then what is? Today, her grandson Rahul Gandhi, who is also leader of opposition in PM Modi's third term, has been fueling regional as well as caste divide in the country. It is a clear strategy to create unrest within the country so that the reformative measures that could be taken by Modi government for India's future can be stalled. And incidentally, Rahul Gandhi too is now an MP from Raebareli, the same seat which Indira Gandhi was disqualified from. It is almost like things coming to a full circle for the family that has never shown any regard for the constitution they keep waving at and pretending to save. This is why we need to observe Samvidhan Hatya Divas, so that we do not forget what happened 50 years ago. Human memories fade and with time forget what their forefathers have endured in the past. We must remember it so that the same crime of imposing emergency is not repeated. Because times have changed, and India, that is on a path to become world's third largest economy today, will be pushed back so far that it will become a near impossible task to make a comeback from. We must remember our history so we do not repeat this.